are watching Defiance Illusion. We are going to rock from the Delta to DMZ, baby. What's going on with everybody tonight? Hope everybody's doing well. Um, Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. We all know that we're in a transition stage. Either way this silly election stuff goes, we're going to be in a transition irregardless. Let's just try to keep a cool head and let's try to respect one another. I think at this point, Fox News, CSNBC, and NBC, and ABC, and Cardinal Jiffy, and all the rest of them, need to go jump in a lake. They got no right to tell a person how to live or how to think. You just don't let it get you down. Don't let it get you down. There's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. And that belongs to us, the American people and the people of the world. It belongs to us. It don't belong to the hierarchies. That's what you got to remember. Now, down to business. I'd like to know if you wouldn't mind commenting on what kind of beer everybody likes to drink. Me, myself, I'm a big fan of Yuengling. And I believe Yuengling was the first actual beer in America, made in America, here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm also a big fan of Ennis. And I am a big fan of Mickey's malt fine liquor. So, whenever you sign on and you see this, if you wouldn't mind, just leave comments about what kind of liquor you like to drink or what kind of beer you like or whatever. We're open here at Defiance Illusion. We just, we like to know what people like. That way it gives us a chance to speak on things and explore maybe new areas that we've not gone down or that you may not have gone down. It's all about give and take. With that being said, I'm going to go back to the 80s talk for a bit. Music in the 80s, the reason I believe that it was so much better than what we have had up until about 3 years ago, in metal anyway, was the fact that the way it was promoted. Like I've said in a previous video, the way that you promote and the way that, the way they did it in the 80s, everybody in the band was an individual, and the guy usually, and that was the lead singer, like, okay, we'll take Motley Crue just for instance. I know it's, it's whatever, but Vince Neil was very sellable in the 80s. He had long blonde hair, very long blonde hair at one point. He was thin, he wasn't fat. He could, hit them high notes. He wasn't the greatest singer, granted, but he got the job done and he was quite entertaining to watch. And the girls went gaga over the guy. So you could market that. And when you're doing marketing, not only could you market the CD because he's on it, you got posters, magazines, you've got radio interviews, MTV, you had, clothing deals, Aqua Net hair. I mean, they used to use two cans of hairspray in their hair, before they went on stage. Thank God that they didn't light a match when the wind blew the wrong way, to light a cigarette, because everybody smoked at that time as well. But that was a big part of the difference between, like, I think right around 93, 94 is right where a lot of the promotions towards heavy metal or the 80s style metal really totally shut off, and it like went into a whole different realm. Um, and with that being said, it was like day and night. I mean, promotions back then to promotions now. I'm starting to see some of the older stuff being used. Like, guys had to be promotion machines themselves. I mean, I've seen like Poison talk about how they would go up and down the Sunset Strip when they first hit LA, and they'd be, with a staple gun stapling, what club they're playing at and the photo of the band, and, come and see us, and tickets are this out, how much and whatever. They were self-promoting machines as well. That was a part of it. That was before the internet. But when the internet came out, that kind of, me, myself, I think you should do both. I know that's not going to go over very popular with a lot of people, but I think you should do both. I think when it comes to publicity, no publicity is bad publicity. That's just my feel on it. If bad publicity was going to tear people apart, basically Donald Trump would be broke as a joke right now. I mean, because they've been ragging him for 4 years. I mean, that's a perfect example of publicity, bad publicity. Hello, Phyllis, Creepy Videos, and Hobbs Horror. Shout out, love, peace, charity, holidays, have fun. Now, I think that the bands now, like, not like God smacking them, they've got their place, but like bands like Nightwish, bands like let's say Cobra and the Lotus, they still have to be that self-promoting machine. Even though they might have a promoter from like Napalm Records or whatever it may be, and a band manager, you still have got to put in the legwork. The legwork is what makes you, okay? You cannot sit back and procrastinate or be lazy. You have got, when you're in the music industry, or you're just even here on YouTube, you have got to be a promotion machine for yourself. You got to have people helping you. You got to help people. It's one hand washes the other. And the better we all get along, the better off we're all going to be. Because everybody wants to make money. That's the bottom line. And if you have a particular look, you can make money. Okay. If you have, let's say, an idea with a look, and you could put that idea into use with your look and make it match, you've got a winning system right there. And I know that's like dumbing it down, but I really don't know how else to really put it. I mean, I could probably get scientific with it, but why? What for? Let's just keep it simple, stupid, like, no insult to nobody. I was talking with a couple of my brothers earlier, and I was reminiscing about some MTV stuff, and I remember the awards back in the 80s. And, this is at the height of the PMRC movement. And, John Denver had been, standing up for the First Amendment. D. Schneider, whatever, from Twisted Sister, he did, his rally call. I liked Twisted Sister's first album and a couple songs on their second album, and then I was like done with them. But anyway, that was another band that got kind of pushed to the back. But to be realistic, between 89 to jump back, not to like go back and forth, but 89 to like 92, man, there was maybe 100 bands in there that had like hits, maybe 2 or 3 hits, and then they just disappeared because of the grunge movement thing. it was over. Everybody says, "Oh, rap," and no, rap didn't mean nothing to metal, and metal didn't mean nothing to rap. It's not a color thing. It's not a musical thing. One genre don't cross the other. Black Sabbath don't rap. Somebody told me that Eminem had approached Tony Iommi wanting to sing for Black Sabbath. I said, yeah, that'll start a war. That'd be like Run DMC opening for Ozzy. I mean, oh my God. That would not, that's why you have promoters. They have common sense. If you got Run DMC and you're fortunate enough to have Ozzy, you know better than to stick them both on the same ticket on the same card. That's going to start some shit. And Ozzy has actually spoke about that himself, and I want to say Run DMC, and also I want to say Two Live Crew also spoke about possibly doing something. And then they got to thinking about it, and then their promotion people spoke up, and they were like, no, we don't think so, because metal fans are like a different category of people. They're a different, I don't want to say class because that's like stereotyping, but okay, class. They're a different class of people. Those are the people that don't mind getting into, down and dirty and having a good time and partying all night and riding a motorcycle 110 mile an hour down a desert highway or whatever, when nobody's around, nobody can get hurt, whatever. That's those guys. That's what we do. I can't go on a desert highway like that. I'm in Ohio. Okay. Anyway, hit me up about the drinking thing and hit me up about the music. What y'all think? I was just trying to give some enlightenment as to what made things work so well, like a fine oiled machine back in the 80s compared to now, and why things are such a mess now compared to what they were in the 80s. And that's because everybody kind of helped everybody in the 80s. You don't have that no more. It's every man or every band for their self type thing now. And I think that's a shame. I do. I mean, I like my individuality, of course, all of us do. But there is a point where if you help your fellow man that's in the same business as you, he will help you. That's just my belief on it. Ozzy gave Motley Crue one of their biggest breaks by letting them tour with him. And oh my God, talk about a promotion machine. Ozzy and Motley together. Can you even flippin' imagine that? I mean, oh my gosh. That had to be every promoter and writer's dream come true. They destroyed everything they did in America. They destroyed everything they did in the UK, everything they did across the Orient and Asia. I mean, they just laid waste, man. I mean, it was crazy the stuff that came out during that time that Motley Crue was doing to up on Ozzy, and Ozzy was doing to up on Motley, and they were back and forth. And, I've seen interviews where they actually talk about it, both sides, both camps. And they laugh now, but back then people weren't laughing. People were like, "Oh my God," But this was also at the height of like the religious hierarchy. And I'm not slacking on nobody when I say it like that. So please don't take it like that. What I'm saying is you had some preachers that were really going after Ozzy, and that even though it was like bad promo, it made him who he is, which made him extraordinarily wealthy. The guy, Ozzy, got wealthy off of bad publicity. He's a perfect example. Him, Donald Trump, Ronnie James Dio, Richie Blackmore, they all got very wealthy off of bad publicity. Think about it. David Coverdale. What I was talking about just a little bit ago, I didn't get to finish it. I went off, sorry, on the other thing. I'll finish that real quick. Back in the 80s, MTV would take like award winners that they gave awards to, like Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Poison, Cheap Trick was there, White Snake, and they put certain people on stage together at the same time. And I remember watching Bon Jovi's drummer get showed up during this as well. I mean, he kind of got, yeah. If you go back and you watch this on YouTube, it's like, holy crap, because you got to remember the time, they didn't even say damn at this time on TV. They didn't even say crap. I mean, it was like taboo. And here's David Coverdale, the prince of perverts. And I probably just stereotyped him again. And David, if you get wealthy off this, I expect my cut. I'm not John Sykes, pal. Okay, you send me my check. But anyway, the Prince of Pervs got up on the stage. He had Vivian Campbell, which was joining his band at the time, which nobody knew. Tommy Lee, and I want to say Heather Locklear, I believe it was, did the introduction. Vince Neil was backstage. Bon Jovi was backstage. Richie Sambora came out on the stage along with Cheap Trick's guitarist. I forget it was an all Cheap Trick's band except the lead singer. I'm assuming he stepped off the stage to go get stoned with the other head guys. It's just the time it was. Everybody was smoking, in buildings and drinking and having a good time. It was what it was about. That's what it's supposed to be about. But anyway, David Coverdale, he's going to do Tush. And this is on live national TV. Okay. It's MTV. This is like, I want to say, oh Lord, 86, 87-ish, something like that. Maybe 88, right in that area. And like I said, everybody did their jobs then, in the media. You couldn't say certain things. It was just they would shun you, And he, instead of saying tush, which a lot of people didn't understand what tush was, that's why he was permitted to say it. He didn't say tush. When it says I'm going downtown just looking for some tush, he would say tits. And the Prince of Pervs pulled it off, and he got away with it because he was British. They after that they threw it towards British royalty is what they did. That's how they excused it. And then the whole thing came together with White Snake, with the John Sykes exit. Unfortunately, I think Sykes and Campbell would have been a lot better vibe for White Snake than, because, well, actually, it really didn't matter because Vivian had just got married. I forget the woman's name. He got married, and his wife did not get along with Coverdale's wife. So that was like short-lived anyway. I mean, it just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. You had, it's going great. Hobbs, how are you? We had a sound in the 80s. I mean, when you talk about the 80s, it's hard to talk about the 80s without bringing Queen up. We lost Freddie Mercury, I believe, in 91. Tragically. I mean, that was even bigger than the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing. I mean, that was just, wow. That Queen, to my generation, was the Led Zeppelin of the 80s. I mean, that was the Led Zeppelin of the 80s was Queen. In my generation, that was when I was 10 years old when I first started listening to Queen, Radio Gaga and, Bicycle and all, classics. And, you go ask the heaviest black metal player out there. And when you say Queen, they'll say, oh man, honorary metal. I mean, everybody accepts Queen. I've never heard nobody slack on Queen. Ever. Now, I've heard people slack on Ozzy. I've heard people slack on Dio. A lot of that is professional jealousy. Dio, in my opinion, I'll say this again, was much better with Black Sabbath than Ozzy. I think Heaven and Hell did more for Black Sabbath than all the Ozzy stuff combined. But Ozzy went further without Sabbath than he ever could have, being solo, than he ever could have staying with Sabbath. So his bad luck and bad publicity turned into a heaven sent creation, because it was like, okay, all of a sudden in the 80s, you had, and I'm not going to name their names, but you had all these mainstream preachers. And I remember every one of them that was going after Ozzy Osbourne. And when you got that many preachers going after you, creating negative press, even though that press is negative, people will read about you. When there's that many people coming after you, I don't care who you are or what you're doing. That's heaven sent free publicity. Okay? Plain and simple. And when you're getting free publicity from people with that kind of standing in America at that time, and even now, a lot of them learned their lesson by doing that because they realized on hindsight they made the guy bigger than what they even were. The guy that's preaching to your grandma sitting there watching TV on Friday night, slamming Ozzy, is giving him all this free publicity. And even though it's negative for your grandma, for your age group, you're like, oh, I got to check this dude out. So you're going out buying his records. Every video that he puts out, your eyes are glued. I mean, the big thing back in the 80s was Ozzy was a devil worshiper. That was the big thing. No, he wasn't. But he played it to the hill. I mean, like he said on various accounts, he'd been a fool not to. Absolutely. Let's be honest. And I give it to Ozzy on that. If he was not honest about anything else, at least he was honest about that. Just like I'm very honest about bad publicity being good. There's no such thing as bad publicity, really. For the most part. I'll say that, for the most part. Now, there is a place where it can go really bad. But as long as you stay above that red line, like Ozzy did, he never went into the red. He kept it in the black line, in the gray and the black. And he really, he surfed the red wave, man. And a lot of that was Sharon. A lot of that was Sharon Osbourne. She was, and I kind of figure I wouldn't want to deal with her personally, hearing the stories that I've heard. And I'm not knocking her. I'm sure she's awesome for Ozzy. She's, probably a good person. But, when you got people talking about how Jakey Lee was done during market, pretty, man, that's bad. Now that is where you go down into the red, and you don't want that, because then, in fact, I just had somebody message me not long ago. So if you're watching this would be for you guys who've been asking me on my emails and stuff. Who some of my favorite guitarists were. That to me is pretty simplistic. And some of them don't get none of the notoriety that they ever deserved, unfortunately. So let's start off, my number one would be Richie Blackmore. Everybody's like, oh, you didn't name Jimi Hendrix number one. No, I'm honest. I'm not following a trend. I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. If something's not true, I'm not going to say it just to be popular or to agree to be popular. I'm not that guy. Richie Blackmore would be my number one. Number 2, definitely Randy Rhoads. Number 3, Eddie Van Halen. Number 4, wow, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Number 5, George Lynch. Number 6, one who gets absolutely no notoriety whatsoever, Jakey Lee. My goodness, the guy can play his ass off. He's just freaking incredible. Jakey Lee is probably the best kept secret in American guitar. I mean, the guy's he's so incredible. Another one, Warren DeMartini. They both came out of Rat. One played with Ozzy. One went and auditioned for Dio. The one that played with Ozzy was Jake, of course. He was after Brad Gillis from Foreigner, which was after Randy's death. And then he picked up where Brad left off and went and did Bark at the Moon, which, in my personal opinion, the only good thing about Bark at the Moon was Bark at the Moon and Rock and Roll Rebel. And then you can trash the rest of none of it. I mean, and then Ultimate Sin came out, and I was like, oh my God, yeah. Shot in the Dark and all that. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. After Warren DeMartini, oh man. Well, Vivian Campbell, Phil Collin, both of them playing the same band now, in fact. I was a Phil Collin fan before, anybody really gave Def Leppard any recognition anyway, about the whole hysteria thing that, I liked Phil Collin. I liked his guitar parts. The only thing that I catch people on is when guitarists tell me that they can play note for note a song like Hysteria. It's like, oh, you can play that note for note. You can make it sound just like their record right now. And if they tell me yes, I laugh, because that's 5 guitars, and they've admitted that now. And the lead guitar from Phil Collin, from my understanding, was actually done on a Fender Strat, not the Jackson. It was a $300 Fender Strat that his mother bought him for Christmas. Go look it up. I do believe I'm not wrong on that. Now, on the other side of rock, we had a band called Motorhead. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, Lemmy, I miss you, brother. Oh, my gosh. Motorhead was the shit. They were the shit. I loved Motorhead. They was like the ultimate biker type, metal band. I got a classic tape of them doing Ace of Spades, and it's Lemmy's birthday, and this girl jumps out, and she's got boobs out to here, and she's wearing a skin tight t-shirt, and I think she was wearing bikini bottoms. I'm not sure, but I know she's wearing high heels, and everybody was like frothing at the mouth, including Lemmy. But anyway, as I say, there's no such thing as bad publicity when you're getting into metal and rock. And, if somebody wants to knock you, take it for a compliment that they even listen to you, man. Don't jump back and, oh, blah, 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 blah. You ain't got to be like that. Say thank you. Because somebody who watches them is now going to come and watch you. See? Bad publicity does work. I'd like to give a shout out to Hobbs Horror, my brother, and to Erden. What's up? And Scrap Dog, Pauline, Dumpster Diving in Cincinnati, Phyllis Creepy Videos. Give a shout out to her for signing in tonight. Thank you very much for your comments. Please go down, give us a thumbs up here at Defiant Solutions, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about us. And as you endorse us, trust me, we do remember our friends, and we do endorse them. So one hand washes the other, my friend. And that's what we all got to get on, the same level. All right. So send me what you guys like to drink. Me, myself, when it comes to beer, I'm pretty particular. That's why I only got 3 favorites. which I was talking about earlier, which would be Yingling, Guinness, and Mickey's. Big Mouth Mickey's. Got a little redneck in me. But my favorite liquor, Black Label Jack, all day long. Love my Jack. JD all the way. Um, and then if I had to choose a second and a third, my second would be Mezcal with the worm. My third would be Bat 69 Scotch. Let's tear some shit up. But remember, don't drink and drive. Don't do that. That is bad. Be safe. Be aware of your surroundings. You know, keep safe distancing. We don't want none of our people getting sick or anything. So let's watch out for one another, and keep a cool head. Keep a cool head. All this is about over, and all this election, whatever, getting tired. But anyway, but I want to say y'all have a great holiday. There are some things coming up, so stay tuned at Defiance Illusion. There will be some book reading and some stories that I am going to read off and do, and also some music, possibly. And there will be some other talking points and some book reviews. So please stay tuned. And God bless you. Take care. Hope to see y'all soon. Stay dating strong, baby. The gator is gone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.